Welcome to Love Central.
Shalom. So, there you go.
I'm sorry, I want a hug.
Oh, Dad's going to hug you.
I love you. You're tall enough.
I love you.
Thank you. Alison, you literally fed them well. Now they won't be skinny anymore. First of all, everyone, thank you. Thank you for coming. Thank you, Gregory, Jackie, Alison, Jeff, and the rest of the family for hosting us this week over here. We feel privileged being here, taking a little break from home. Although we love our home, but it's much needed, and we really, really thank you for that. It is giving us a huge relief and great joy being here. So Yoav, first of all, my name is a biblical name. You don't know it because your English messed up the real Hebrew letters. Yoav is J-O-A-B in the Bible, Joab. It's a German influence over the Bible, so the original Y turns to J, the B turns to V. The V turns to B, and you got Joab instead of Yoav. So that's my name. And I basically want to share with you a lot of things. I'll try to do it quick, I'll try to do it deep, and I'll try to give you the way to connect with me later, to ask questions if you have, and thoughts, and whatever you want, you'll be able to reach email and everything that you want to connect. It will be over there. I've been here, and I know some people have seen me here last November, and some people asked me if I did go to the army, and I did. And I want to share with you a little bit of what am I doing, what I did since that, because last March, we celebrated the holiday of Purim. In Purim, in Israel, we read the scroll of Esther, the whole story of Esther. And basically, I was guarding in my community, and I realized that I cannot remain silent. I've been here once in October, November, right after October 7th. And as I was guarding my community, and I'll tell you more about it soon, we were reading the verses of Esther, for if you remain silent at this time, and I'm jumping to the end, and he says over there from another, but you and your father's family will perish if you don't share the truth. I mean, Esther is there, and I felt a little Esther call. Go and share what's going on there, because we sit there in our little country and we feel that the world does not get it. Why don't people get it? I'll say that there's a lot of reasons, but the English, like you don't get my biblical name, there's a little problem over here. You're missing a D. Yes, come on. in the Jews. We're not Jews. We are Yehudim in Hebrew. Judeans, if you wish. It's complicated. It makes people think that Judaism is a religion, but there is a connection to a land, to a language, to culture. What does it mean? We are people. And when we start to tell our story a little bit deeper and more information, you start to understand that this conflict is a little bit, more complicated, because we need to fill up all the information, but it becomes more clear where or what the world goes wrong with. And this is what I've been trying to do, sharing. We have a front in Israel from at least five fronts fighting against us. Last April 13th, I'm in San Antonio, Texas, giving a lecture. That night, Shani's calling me. They just announced that there's hundreds of drones and missiles coming to us. And I'm at home. I'm at San Antonio. She's at home. And it was very, very scary. Exactly. What did you do? She cried, but basically, I'll tell you what happened. When the drones came and the missiles, I'm talking about 185 drones with bombs, 135 ballistic missiles, and there were over 30 cruise missiles coming from Iran. And the sirens start to get on, after a few hours, and I'm calling her, and she's mad at me. You just woke me up, she said. That's the reality that we live in. And this is one front from Iran you can see. And Yemen, that's another proxy of Iran. The Houthis, you maybe have heard about them. Lebanon, we have Hezbollah. We have the Gaza, very famous, and we'll talk about it. That's the border with Lebanon over here. Still going on right now. And this is people asked, what is the Iron Dome? 2 nights ago, I'm showing you this video. These are not fireworks, what you're about to see. This is an active air defense system that intercept missiles. That's literally a miracle they can do that. Imagine yourself, a missile flying in the air and another missile can hit it before it hits the ground. That's in the Galilee, in the northern part of Israel. These are the Iron Dome missiles. Explosions killing the missiles in the air, all right? The missiles coming from Lebanon into Israel. The Iron Dome is on the side, all right? That's a little bit of the reality in the northern part of Israel. We're not going to talk too much about it. But this is that night that Shani called me. These are drones flying towards Israel above Iraq and Jordan. And these are Israeli and American airplanes hunting them from the air. This is drone, boom. The airplane hits it with none of the drones, out of 185 drones, this is a drone flying. It doesn't look moving because the airplane moves with it, above it. American and Israeli, that's a drone with a big bomb on it. It's going to explode over here. Boom, gone. Great cooperation. What you see over there, American flag, Israeli flag, by the way, there's some Arab nations together with us, managed to stop all the drones. None of the 185 drones hit Israel. Standing together is super important for us and for you as well. Tonight we're not going to talk about your problems over here, but I'm not talking about what you think. I'm talking about things that you don't even aware that existing in Michigan lately and other places in America. But that's something that we should get and learn a little bit more. By the way, this system, it's not the Iron Dome, is the big brother of the Iron Dome. It's called the Arrow 3. This intercept out of the atmosphere, the ballistic missiles, the 132 missiles. Some of them did hit in the desert, but many of them, these are missiles against missiles. Crazy. That's the Arrow system, and you can see American flag, Israeli flag, together development. This is our neighborhood. You can see Iran, you can see Saudi, super important Syria, Jordan, Egypt, and Lebanon over here, and Israel is over here in the middle. On your walls, O Jerusalem, I have set to watchmen, guards, all the day and all night, they shall never be silent. When I left here, back to Israel, the day later, I actually got a call a week before while I was in California from the army. Yoav, you wanted to volunteer? Come, we need you. They gave me an easy position. I was a guard in my kibbutz, in my community. Guarded the gate. Why do we need guards over there? I'll show you later. But basically, this is me guiding, and this is us standing in the synagogue a year and 2 months from now in the synagogue of Capernaum, all right, in the Galilee. That's me guiding, and that's me guarding. That's the gate of the kibbutz, standing with uniforms, eating a lot of food, drinking a lot of coffee to stay awake. But why do we need guards? I'll tell you later. Okay, that's me. And again, we shall never be silent. And when they released us at the beginning of April, I left and I did actually 2 tours, one in Texas, came back for Passover, and my sister's wedding, which I officiated, which was very exciting. I'll show you later. and came back to the Midwest and did another tour. And now we're over here. We're going to have a few talks in maybe in Atlanta, and one in Florida is hopefully going to happen. So that's what I'm going to share with you is super important, because Israel is small. Our enemies, as you saw, are huge. The number of people these enemy countries has is by hundreds, double by hundreds bigger than the Israeli society. And this is a very scary poll. Took in last December, and we have majority of Americans, 51%, between 18 to 24, think Israel should be ended and given to Hamas. You kidding me? I know you don't agree with it, but this is super, super sad. Because these people, it's like going in the street and shoot yourself in the leg. Hamas is a terrorist organization. They're saying that they want to destroy Israel out loud, by the way. For them and for the Iranians and for the others, you are also something that should be destroyed. So if you are 18 or 19 or 20 or 23 or 24 and say yes to this statement, you don't know what you're talking about. And this is why I'm here. Now, I know you probably are here, you agree with me, but I came to equip you with a little bit with more information. I know it will look like a class, and okay, just a second. We'll skip Amos, we'll do it later. This statement, next year in Jerusalem, is true for you, but I want to share with you a story. You see this? Oh, the system is working slow. These two old people over here. His name is Abraham, her name is Sarah. I'm not kidding. It's not 4,000 years old picture. And the little dude in their hands is me. They're my great-grandparents. They came from Romania after the Holocaust and after the State of Israel was created. And their daughter, let's see if it's going to work. Their daughter, my grandma, told me an amazing story that every Passover they celebrated at home, Abraham, used to bring an orange to the table. And they used to put it in the middle of the table throughout the whole holiday. And they looked at it, they blessed it. And at the end of the Passover meal, they peel it off. Everyone tasted it. They made a jam out of the skin. And they had it for the rest of the year, something sweet from the Holy Land, from Israel. And they finished their Passover celebration like every other family finishing until today their big feast by quoting and saying, next year in Jerusalem. Why is that? This old lady, her name is Mazal, lucky, if you wish in English. The dude in the hands, me. She is my great-grandma from my dad's side. She's the mother of my grandma over here. And she was pushed out of Iraq in 1951. What is Iraq? Iraq is basically where Babylon used to be, by the river of Babylon. In 586 BC, the Babylonians are destroying the first temple. They're exiling the Jews to Babylon. In 1951, when they were pushed out of Iraq, that's the end of the community that started in 586. And when they're pushed out of Iraq, where do they go? There's only one place, the state of Israel, that was only 3 years old. I skipped one dude over here, this guy. His name is John, Yochanan. We just lost him a month and a half ago. He was the last one that survived out of all of them, the last one that stayed alive. We lost him, and he was one of my best friends. We shared his testimony. He survived the Holocaust by himself as a kid. Starting around 9 years old, until the end of the war, he was a little bit older. And he survived in 46. He comes to the land of Israel before the state of Israel was established because there was nowhere else to go. He lost all of his family. He was pushed out of his home. And he went where? Home for him. We're going to go back to this statement, but I want to continue. Sorry. This clicker is a little bit... All right, you hear a lot in the streets over here in America, from the river to the sea, Palestine will be free. That's wrong. And that means that we have nowhere to live. They want to take us out. But I want to do something else. I want to go over between the river and the sea and to give you a more intimate understanding. So you will know what does it mean between the river and the sea. We're going to go quickly over the history and then geography. Why is it so important? Because later, after, when you're going to read your Bibles, when you're going to hear the news, you will understand everything better. Not everything, but much better, all right? This is River Jordan, starts actually north of the Sea of Galilee, goes through the Sea of Galilee down to the Dead Sea. That's the river. Basically a little stream, by the way. After you see the big rivers, after I crossed the Mississippi for the first time, I said, no more calling it River Jordan, just Jordan. And this is the Mediterranean Sea, all right? Let's get better familiarization with this land that we call Israel today. Look, I know this is the hard part. We're going to go over some text over here. Stay with me, okay? I promise to do it quickly. When we go and talk about this land, what do we know about this land? The earliest findings we have are going back to the land of Canaan, all right? Abraham is getting the call from God about 4,000 years ago. But why did it? Okay. So if you want to read articles and you want to know the name of the time and everything, the patriarchs. Oh, what's going on here? So about 4,000 years ago, what's called the Middle Bronze Age. That's the time of Abraham, Sarah, Rivka, Isaac, all of these people that we all familiar. Let's give it numbers. Let's give it time. Okay, they're there in the land. They're coming from, Abraham is getting the call, he's coming, and then Jacob goes to Egypt. And if we move forward to the late Bronze Age, as you can see, between 1550 to 1200 BC, that's the time of the Exodus and the wilderness, all right? 1200 BC is super important. That's the time when Joshua is crossing River Jordan with the Israelites, and they come into Jericho, takes over Jericho, 1200 BC. Super important time. This is the beginning also of the Iron Age. In the Iron Age, we have, the beginning of Iron Age, we have between about 200 years of the books of Joshua, Judges, Samuel, the two of them, King Saul. All right? 200 years, between 1200 to 1000. Who comes around 1000 to the land? You know him? David, exactly. David, Goliath, then he becomes the king. Then his son Solomon builds a temple. That's still in Iron Age, but after 1000, 3,000 years ago, okay? Important. Then all the rest of the kings, and what's called the united monarchy, the divided monarchy, Judah, Israel, remember that? Jeroboam. You don't have to, if you don't remember it, that's fine, but I'm trying to give you something that maybe rings a bell. The son of Solomon, Rehoboam, is not doing well. And then the 10 tribes of the north are establishing a new kingdom called Israel, right? And the first king is Jeroboam. They will get destroyed by the Assyrians in the 8th century BC. But kingdom of Judah, 586 BC. Remember that date? 586 BC, that's the beginning of the community in Babylon. That's the destruction of the first temple by the Babylonians, Nebuchadnezzar. Who will come to Babylon much later? My grandparents, remember? So making some connections. So that's 586. 586 to, we have the time of the Persians. The Persian kingdom takes over the Babylonians, and that's the time of the return to Babylon. The books of Ezra and Nehemiah. Familiar with them? Ezra and Nehemiah. Ooh, that's right. I think someone has here the code for the Greeks. Alexander the Great is coming to the land, and he's bringing what's called the Hellenistic culture, the Greek culture, which during that time we have the building. Sorry, when Ezra and Nehemiah comes back, they build a second temple in Jerusalem. All right, second temple that will last until automatic pilot. The Romans, listen to that. The Romans are coming during the 1st century BC. That's time that you all familiar with. New Testament time. Jesus. 1st century BC, 1st century what we call AD. The Romans will stay there until they will become a Christian kingdom. We will call it the Byzantine time. You see it over here? The Romans, the Byzantine, until the Arabs are coming, until the 7th century. Everything happening in the land between the river to the sea. You get it? It's very important to understand when do you start to tell the story. All right? For us. Because if you start to tell the story, for example, for my grandpa who survived the Holocaust in 1946 when he came to Israel, you don't understand why he came to Israel. If you start to tell the story in 1951 when my great-grandparents came from Iraq after they were pushed out, you don't understand why they come to Israel if you don't know the story. Christian Romans are losing to the Arabs, and then the Arabs are coming. Islam is being created in Arabia, in Saudi of today. The armies of the Muslims takes over the land, and then it starts fighting between the Christian armies of Europe, called the Crusaders. 1099, the Crusaders are coming from Europe, takes over. Again, we have Christian control over the land. And then we have later Muslims that takes the Crusaders out. These later Arabs are replaced by the Turks called the Ottomans, and this is super important. Do you remember the Ottomans from high school class? The Ottomans are controlling from Turkey of today, Istanbul. They were the last empire, basically on this area before we getting the empires of today. If it's America and Russia, The Ottomans, during the Ottomans, 400 years they controlled the land. Super important to remember because something is happening there at the end of the Ottoman time. We have what is called the Zionist movement established in Europe. The beginning of the active return to the land. All right? We'll talk about it. But I want you to have a look at the British Mandate time from the end of World War I to 1948, the Brits controlling the land. Between 48 to 67, we have in between the river to the sea, we have Israel, Jordan, and Egypt controlling the land. And after 67, we have Israel, West Bank, and Gaza. Super important to remember. You don't have to. I will always be there to help you if you have questions. Now I want to go back for one moment to the Roman time. The Roman time, over here you see, the Roman time. 1st century BC they come there. And around 70 AD, the Jews who had free independence over the land are uprising against the Romans because the Romans are forcing them to sacrifice to the emperor in the temple to the one and only God. This uprising will lead to destruction of the temple. This uprising will lead to Jews not be able to stay in Jerusalem at this case. But Jews will still stay in Judea. In the year 132 to 135, the Jews are uprising against the Romans again, because the Romans are not allowing them to teach the Torah and to circumcise their sons. And this uprising, the emperor back then in Rome, his name is Hadrian. Great success for the Jews at the beginning, huge catastrophe at the end in the Jewish eyes. Hadrian is kicking the Jews out of the land, taking the name of Judea, and you'll understand where is Judea in a second. Take the name of Judea, trying to delete it from the history, by taking the biggest rivals of the Jews from the Old Testament time. Who are they? The Philistines. And he's changing the name to Palestine. Why not Philistine? First of all, there are no Philistines in the land for a long time. They were kicked out by the Assyrians. All right, they were in 604 BC. And why not Philistine? Because in Latin there's no PH. There is P only. All right, that's a Latin name. Okay, now geography a little bit. Okay, you see over here the Dead Sea, we saw it. You see the Sea of Galilee. Jesus walks on water over here. Jesus' ministry is over here. You see Mount Hermon, probably the place of transfiguration over here on top. You see over here, come on, be patient, don't run. You see that the center of the land has a loaf of bread. Do you see that? A loaf of French bread. These are the mountains of Judea and Samaria. Shh. Probably, I'll buy a new one. Promise you. Okay, here's the loaf of bread. Here's the coastal plain. Do you see this coastal plain? By the way, the loaf of bread, take a little turn to the left, to the west, and this is Mount Carmel. Who's the famous prophet that we know from Mount Carmel? Elijah. Remember Elijah fighting the Baal prophets? Right over here. That's Elijah. So here's Sea of Galilee, Jordan River, main hill country, coastal plain. And these are what we call the Jordanian Heights, still in the story of the Bible. Hills of Gilead, Ammon, Moab, Ruth, Moab, and Edom. All right? That's important because when we're going to talk about names later, you'll see over here. No, something is. We'll try again. Very good. This is the map of the tribes after Joshua comes in. When Joshua comes in, 1200 BC. All right? This is the land that you already know. What's going to be over here in the middle? Loaf of bread, hill country. Very good, hill country. So you see Manasseh, you see Gad, you see Reuben. They're on the other side of the Jordan. But in between the Jordan and the sea, we have Judah, Ephraim, Manasseh. You can see Naphtali, Asher. These are the tribes. This is the time of between 1200 to 1000. Later on, we get this is the time of the split between the united monarchy of David and Solomon. This is Israel in the north and Judea in the south. Israel will get out of here in 722 BC by the Assyrians, and Judea will last until 586 BC. Pay attention over here. It's hard to read it, but it says Philistia. That's the name of the coastal plain around Gaza City. This is where the Philistines will be located until 604 BC. You're familiar with the Philistines, right? Goliath, they kill King Saul, all right? They're strong. They are the reason why the tribe of Dan is moving from here to here. And you can see Dan over here. We like Dan. It's a beautiful place. The city where they moved in the north, we know where it is. We hopefully can take you there. Amazing place. We can see the high place that Jeroboam built over there. Dated to the same time. This is the time of the first century, time of Jesus, time of the New Testament. You see, over here is Judea. Judea is over here. There's the Galilee part of Judea because there's a king during the time of Jesus called Herod. He is expanding Judea to here and to here and to the south. All right? What's the name of the land that the Romans are calling it back then? Do you know? Easy, it says so. Judea. Provincia Judaea in Latin. Judea. That's the name. It's super important when we come to talk about names. Because remember when they shout from the river to the sea, what they say? We don't have Palestine yet over here. There's no Palestine over here. Only when the Romans, Hadrian, is kicking the out of here, he's trying to delete the memory. He's, by the way, renaming Jerusalem. He's calling it after his name, Aelia Capitolina. His name is Aelius Adrianus. But it didn't catch. The name Jerusalem stayed strong. All right? We're moving on from the first century we're jumping to the time period of the Ottomans. Remember the Ottomans from high school? If you don't, you maybe remember I mentioned them earlier. They controlled from Istanbul. They are the Turks of today. And they are calling the land over here. They divide the land into small regions. I learned one thing in this trip, that I should use the word counties. County, all right? They call it vilayet. That's the name. And there's the vilayet of Jerusalem, or vilayet of Acre, of Tyre in Lebanon, vilayet of Damascus, which was an important city. There's no countries of Syria. These are all biblical names, Syria, Lebanon, Israel, but it wasn't divided like that. All right? During their time, something is happening in Europe. The Jews are starting to feel that they don't really feel connected. There's some pogroms pushing them out. Where is their home? So what do, the Jews? They start purchasing land. Buying with money land in their homeland. All the black dots you see over here are Jewish purchased land. By the way, we are living in this dot over here, right next to Jerusalem. The land that we live on, our community, we're just renting there, was purchased in the 1920s. After the Ottomans are not there already. But remember this shape. You see the shape of the land like N over here? That's the Jewish N. Remember it. After World War I, when the Ottomans are being pushed out, the Middle East, as we call it, has been divided between France and England. They took over the land. And they wanted, or they get the mandate to let the locals to have their own independence until they can do that, and then they're supposed to leave. The mandate over what they called Palestine was given to them, and I'm willing to find it for you and send you. This was supposed to be given to the Jewish people to have their homeland. In 1917, we have the Balfour Declaration. But then the local Arabs started to say, hey, we're also here. So the Brits told them, okay, get a two-state solution. Let's take all of that. Oh, it moved. Let's take all of that and divide it to two states, two lands. Transjordan will be given to the Arabs, and it was given to the Arabs until today. The Jordanian king sees himself until today as the king of the Arabs. The Saudis will not agree on that, but what can you do? And this land, what they kept on calling Palestine, by the way, in Hebrew, it was always the land of Israel. Even on the British coins, I have one in my wallet over there, a British coin from 1920 or the 30s. It says Palestina, and in Hebrew it says Aleph Yud, Eretz Israel, the land of Israel. They knew that that's the name of the land. I'm showing this to you because when we come to what's called the partition plan over the land, over the Palestine, in 1947, the end of November, basically beginning of 48, this is another time that the Arabs are saying no. They've said at least 5 times in history to what we call the two-state solution. And guess what? We still think it's the best solution. Your president said so. That's a real problem when you don't listen to someone of the two, to one of the two that says, we don't want it. So what do you want? What do they want? From the river to the sea. By the way, do you know what the Jews did when this was accepted in the UN? This was the Arab states supposed to be, the yellow or the orange, and the blue, mostly desert over here, was given to the Jews. Look at the N. Remember the N? The Jews went out to the street to dance. What did the Arabs do? Went on a war to kick the Jews to the ocean. If we don't know that, we don't understand us. We don't understand why are we fighting and what are we fighting for. And if we keep on shouting two-state solution, it's great. This two-state solution can come when they will accept their own state next to a Jewish state. That's it. There was a war in 48. Arab armies of Jordan, Lebanon, Egypt, Iraq, and Syria invade into this piece of land was called Palestine. Israel gained the pink areas, and the Egyptians took this green area. They call it Gaza Strip. That's the beginning of Gaza Strip. The main city over there is the city of Gaza. This is what do we have over here in the middle? The loaf of bread, remember? This is Samaria and Judea, and the Jordanian army took it over. Since they control the east bank of the Jordan River, now they call this the West Bank. All right? Up until today, we have this territory. Since 67, Israel took over, and it's a disputed territory until today. Israel hasn't decided what to do with it, and it's complicated. That's called the West Bank, or Judean Samaria. We're gonna try and zoom in over here. By the way, there's something amazing. I will just sum it up for you. This is the Declaration of Independence in Israel, of Israel. Israel over there in 1948 is announcing we give a hand for peace for our neighbors, and we are fully, or we also give a hand to the Arabs, inhabitants of the state of Israel. Arab inhabitants of the state of Israel? Up until today, we have 21%. These are, by the way, the 5 times they said no to the two-state solution. 37, the Peel Commission. 47, Actually, there is one before 37, but then 67 they said no. 2000 we have Prime Minister Barack and Yasser Arafat together with Bill Clinton. They rejected. Yasser Arafat rejected. You can ask Bill Clinton if you want. And 2008, Olmert with Abbas. Also, Condoleezza Rice was involved over there, and they said no to what was offered for them. Okay, 21%. Now I wanna dive a little bit into Israel, all right? To our life, where we live. It's going to confuse you, but it's going to give you another layer of understanding. This is where we live, right over here. You see Jerusalem? Tel Aviv is right over here. It doesn't say so, but I'm pointing out Tel Aviv. Majority of Jews are living over here on the coastal plain. We live right on the border between Israel and what we called the West Bank, not far from Ramallah, all right? Let's see if we can see where we live. Okay, that's an aerial photo. That's road number 1. This is Jerusalem, all right? Road number 1. And we live right over here on the hills. This is remember, it's the middle of the hill country. It's high. Nice weather, by the way. Do you see this blue line? This is, what's behind it? The West Bank. Today, there is a fence over there since 2003. Well, many terrorists were trying to invade or to come into Israel with bombs and explode. They put a fence on the ground. But as we saw on October 7th, fences sometimes doesn't help, so they put guards. This is why we had to guard, and we still have a lot of security where we live because we're right on the border. Over here we have neighbors. This is a village of Abu Ghosh, and there's another 2 Arab villages. They're part of Israel from 48. These are Israeli Arabs. They're Muslims. They're completely loyal to Israel, and they're very good neighbors of us. I'll skip. This was just a piece of Joshua chapter 9. The whole area that you saw in the picture is happening in Joshua. This is another city mentioned in Joshua chapter 9. This is, you see the hill? See that? It's called a Tel. Underneath what we have there today, we have ruins. They found ruins that dated to the 9th century BC. That's the time of the Ark of the Covenant being taken by the Philistines. And then they have a lot of bad things happening. They send it back to the Israelites. And they take it and they put it in Kiryat Yarim. In your Bible, remember the Y turns to J, so it's Kiryat Jearim. And then David takes it from there to Jerusalem. So Kiryat Yarim was over here. Today there is a monastery, a Catholic monastery over here. It's called Our Lady of the Ark. And they have Mary as the Ark over there. That's a Catholic place. But underneath there's ruins. So that's one. This is Abu Ghosh. That's the Israeli Arab village on one side. By the way, these are all flowers of mustard. And this was taken in March, I think. Right now, all of this mustard turned into seeds. You come over there, you open the pods, and you get mustard seeds. It's really nice. It's very useful to understand things. So that's one side when we look towards Israel. But when we look towards the West Bank, that's what we see. We see Ramallah over here. Tel Aviv will be over here. That's our neighbors on the other side. The fence is running in the middle, and they don't really cooperate. So we have 2 types of Arabs. On one side, friendly, very friendly, neighbors. We do our groceries over there. I'll show you more things we do over there soon. And on the other side, we have enemies, people who want to take us, and our special units has to go in and arrest terrorists over there. Thank God we have the fence and we have guards in our community. And you see the mustard seed as well. So this is another angle of Abu Ghosh. This guy is Arab Muslim guy. His name is Qais. Michael knows him because right before we left, he took his haircut, and I went there as well. Once a month, this guy is taking my haircut, and he's cutting over here with a knife over here. And he's an Arab Muslim, and guess what? I'm a Jew, and he doesn't kill me. He gets the option every month to do that, and he doesn't. Why doesn't he do it? Because that's the reality. We live together. This guy's name is Rotem. He's a chef. We do together what's called food tasting tours. And every time I come to his restaurant, he can put poison in the food, and he chooses not to, although he's a Muslim Arab. Why is that? Because they decided, and they are part of Israel, proud to be Arab Muslim part of Israel, inhabitants. That's a little bit of what I want to jump a little bit to Gaza, by the way, showing you something really cool. Israel had communities. Remember the little Gaza Strip? I'll show you a map. Jewish communities in Gaza Strip until 2005. We took everyone by force, all the Jews out of there, and Hamas in 2014 found all the water systems that Israel put there. They took out the pipelines. Instead of supplying water to their own communities, they turned the pipelines into rockets. This is who we deal with. That's the Gaza Strip on October 7th. That's the sea, the Mediterranean. Over here we have a border with Egypt, about 7 miles long. This is 25. This is easier to understand. 25 miles long, 7 miles longest part. This is Gaza City over here. Gaza City over here. Right? You see Khan Yunis and Rafah is over here. Famous names. Over 30 spots of defense around here were invaded in the morning of October 7th. Over 3,000 terrorists invade into Israel, into the beds of people, kidnapped over 250 Israelis into Gaza. We have 150 that are still there. Among them, we know about 50 that are not alive anymore, but probably more. They also took some kids, babies. They killed 1,145 people that morning only. 1,145, almost 1,200 people inside Israel. Everything happened together with almost 4,000 rockets being shot in the first 3 hours of the invasion, starting 6:30 in the morning. The army had a big failure, but they recovered, and on October 8th, they kicked them all. We killed over 1,000 terrorists inside Israel that 2 days, 7th and 8th. This picture is a picture of cars. Today there is a big lot of cars that got hit along this road called 232. This road was ambushed severely. This forest over here is where the music festival, Nova, took place. And when they tried to go out, the terrorists ambushed them. 345 out of the 1,145 were victims of this music festival. Just killed them. One story that usually you don't hear, out of 3 major communities that got hit, is Kibbutz Nir Oz. It's right over here, parallel to Khan Yunis, right over here. This is a house that was burnt. All the houses in the community of 400 people got invaded by terrorists. Most of them have been burnt. This is the oldest guy in the community. You can see the safe room out of concrete over here in the corner, and all the rest of the house, nothing left. That's the walker of the guy. Okay. By the way, when you go to Israel, you will see that when you read your Bibles, you must remember, summertime, July, no rain. It's dry season. Summer is dry, winter is wet. That's unusual for me. I feel weird. My kids are nervous. I want to give you a quick testimony. This is Tzarfati family. The mother is Mor. Father is Itai. The youngest one, his name is Inbar. They, in their house in Kibbutz Nir Oz, October 7th, they hear the sirens because of the rockets. They go into the safe room, and not a while after, they start hearing Arabs speaking around the house. They hear shooting. They get on their WhatsApp groups a lot of bad news that their neighbors, their best friends are no longer, they understand that they're no longer with them. And when the terrorists try to get into the safe room, Itai is holding the door strong. He almost lost it, but he managed to hold it. The terrorists understand they can't open the door. What do? They put a kind of like a tactic explosives bomb that creates fire in the house, and the house starts to get on fire. The safe room's supposed to protect them from fire, but the door was a little bit not straight, so smoke starts to come in. The safe room was the room of the little guy in bar, and he had stuffed animals over there. These stuffed animals, they put on their face to try and breathe. You can see, I told Moore, take two sides picture. One side is outside, this side was on the face. There's a moment that she feels she can't breathe anymore. 3 boys, 2 young people. And she says, I'm going to open the window to breathe. I better get killed by a shot and not choked by the smoke. Inbar tells her, no, mommy. Start screaming. Fight her. The terrorists are on the roof of the house. I've been there. I heard her talking little details. She was stronger than her son. Imagine yourself this crazy conflict. And she got to the heavy metal window. She moved it a little bit. Praise God, the terrorists didn't hear because they were too loud. And one after another, they went to the crack, took some air, and they could survive. The Israeli army arrives only around 2:30 p.m. The community is empty of terrorists already. Over 70 were taken to Gaza. There's over 100 that has been either taken as captives or died from this community. Quarter of the community. Imagine yourself. When they've been rescued, they had to jump over their friends' bodies and everything, and they still have people that are in Gaza right now, including the redhead babies that you're very familiar with, Biba's family. They're from this community. This is the story of Nir Oz. I want to show you a quick video, and then we're going to start sum up, okay? This video was taken about 2 months ago by Arabs in Gaza Strip, in the tents area. A lot of them, the Israeli army is telling them, hey, go away. There's an area, it's safe. We're going to bring supply over there. You're going to get a tent, but you will survive. Because your house is surrounded by terrorists. And they're attacking us from there. So what happens is that they all go, about 1 million of them, evacuated the Gaza city and went to the southern part of Gaza. And these are all tents, a big camp of refugees. By the way, they voted for Hamas. They still like Hamas. Instead of coming and telling Hamas, go away, surrender, and bring our life back, they keep on, you don't hear too many. But what's going to happen in the video is that you're going to see a rocket falling over here. And this photographer is videoing exactly the spot. This is a safe area for refugees. But Hamas was hiding here and launching rockets into Israel from the refugee area. If someone is coming after you to kill you, what would you do? You need to stop it first. Now, how do I know these people got what we call a knock on the roof? They got an alert that the bomb is coming because he's taking the video. Look, he's taking the video. Pay attention, it's going to happen very quickly. A bomb is going to fall and a smoke will come and then we're going to continue. Just imagine, boom, you see that? And by the way, what do you see flying over here? A rocket. The bomb hits rockets on the ground and it launched them, obviously they did not hit Israel. They could have hit other Palestinians. Out of over 15,000 rockets that have been shot from Gaza only, there's more from Lebanon, many of them, thousands, fell in Gaza. Imagine yourself how many of these rockets could kill Gazans. I'm not going to talk about the numbers coming out of Gaza, but I'll say this. The numbers are getting close to 40,000 dead people. They're reported by Hamas and only by Hamas. Majority of these people we know are terrorists or people that were involved with terrorism, which means hiding refugees, hiding hostages, helping the Hamas, holding weapon, attacking the army, invading into Israel. All right? These, more than half at least, and we know these are not the right numbers. It's very interesting to see that there's no dead people in Gaza out of anything except of the war since October. That's crazy. I mean, people don't die from elderly, don't die from diseases, these are two pictures I took for you from Israel. That's a safe room. Someone got lucky and purchased a safe room. It's a full heavy concrete. You bring it next to your home and you can run in case of a siren. And this is what? It wasn't very safe for the people around Gaza because they were hiding there instead of running out, but they didn't know. This is a sign right outside of Jerusalem. It says, and you shall love your neighbor as yourself. And it says, bring them home now. That's the families of the hostages as you leave Jerusalem today. I want to share with you something about this coin and about Jerusalem. Remember we said next year in Jerusalem at the beginning, my grandparents? Remember that my grandparents from Iraq were dreaming by the river of Babylon. There we wept when we remembered. There we wept when we remembered Zion. Remember, what is Zion? Jerusalem. Zion is the name where Joab is taking over the fortress of Zion, and David turns it into Jerusalem. So I want to share with you something about Jerusalem. This is my sister's wedding. I was the rabbi. They asked me to officiate the wedding, and they thought it's going to be light, funny. I took it serious. And right before Omri broke the glass, you see, he's breaking the glass. We break a glass in this happy moment of creating a new family because we remember the destruction of Jerusalem. We remember Zion. And for me, I walk with it everywhere, this memory. This coin was created by Emperor Vespasian. He's the father of Titus, who destroyed Jerusalem in the year 70. He destroyed the temple. This coin has two sides, and one side over here has a Jewish woman crying, a Roman soldier stepping on a Jewish helmet, and it says around Judea, captive. And it's the year 70. That's when they made it. You see the palm tree? The palm tree is palm day tree. It's the emblem of Judea. And it's very sad. There's no fruits in this palm tree. This medal I have it here in my hands. That's original from 1958, 10 years after Israel was established. And it has two sides. One side is the face of the coin, the Roman soldier, the Jewish woman, Judea Capta, and it says over here, Judah went on exile, 70. You see the chains? On the other side, we have a Jewish woman holding a baby, a Jewish man planting a tree. The palm tree is very, very fruitful, and it says, Decade to the Freedom of Israel, 1958. Right before Omri brought the glass, and I broke the glass almost 10 years ago, traditionally, what we say Psalm 137. If I forget thee, O Jerusalem, let my right hand forget his cunning. If I won't put Jerusalem on top of my joy, if I won't put Jerusalem on top of my joy thoughts, let my tongue stick to the roof of my mouth. And then we break the glass, because we remember Jerusalem. And from that moment, it's a statement. We're going to build and build by creating a family, and we're not going to let this happen again. And for not letting this happen again, we need to know, we need to spread the truth, we need to support Israel, we need to stand together. Thank you for listening and supporting and standing together. I want to open it for questions if you want. But before that, I do want to say a few things. You can contact me and ask questions if you wish via Facebook. My name is Yoav Rotem. Via Instagram, via email, my name @gmail.com. And I established a new, basically maybe you can call it a new business, because there's no tours. And at least until the end of the year, what I'm going to do is I'm going to create content for people here to understand better what's going on in Israel. Either interviews or news, almost daily news coming from Israel, just to sum up on WhatsApp silent group, which means only me writing there, and on a Facebook group called Yoav Real Israel Club. All right? My page is Yoav Rotem Tours, and I'm going to go back to this barcode. This barcode, if you scan it, and you have some papers, you can scan it on the papers, will lead you to a support page. It has secured payment links via credit card, and you can, if you wish to support, it's very, very welcome, and thank you for that. But on top of the page, let me interrupt you for a second. Again, you will work now. On top of the page, there will be like a support over here. And on top over here, you see these little circles? This is all the contacts. You can send me email, you can send a text via WhatsApp, Facebook, everything is there, okay? So you just need to go to the link. You don't have to pay or anything. You can send message and stay in touch.
Thank you for supporting this gospel of love.